Alright, so we are trying to... Is there a way to have all the shelves in the interior be drawn and exported as a miter fold? I would like to use a 91-degree bit and have the shelves come off the CNC, folded, glued, and pin nailed and ready for finishing. Currently we use nosing, but this would eliminate a step. Yes, there is. We can do that through an insert with the latest update. We can do a insert with graphical parts. Here's a build room where I've been building a bunch of crap. So 3D. So painted, not painted. This takes some screwing around to make this work, to get the textures to work out the way you want them to. We'll talk about that. This has a variable in it for the number of shelves. Get that I'm only working on one monitor. So SQ, that's my shelf quantity. If I want to, oh, why didn't you change? So if you have a parameter living in the insert itself, you can only control it from here. So if I delete this parameter, there, now we have two. Then you can run the parameters from here. You want 7, 4, whatever. I just have them so they're set evenly spaced on the opening. I'm not going to save my changes. I'm going to copy this cabinet. Made this room just for the video. Products. Why won't you paste? Right, because the room didn't exist. There we go. Oh yeah, cabinet. Go to interior, clear this out. Now I did add a separator, right at the top of my bottom rail. I'm gonna save that. We're gonna go to libraries, inserts. We're gonna add, and we're just gonna call it folded shelves 2, since I already have one. Parameters, I want to add a couple of parameters. I'm going to call it SH. I'm just going to call that for shelf height. I call it 1.5 inches. It can be just a number. Add another one, SQ for shelf quantity. If you want to, you can write in here shelf quantity. I've made variables wrong multiple times. We're just going to set this at 1 to start out with for a minimum. If you go to 0 or over whatever your number is, it will blank out all the parts and everybody will disappear. The first part that I want to put in here is going to be a blank for my actual piece that's going to be miter folded. I'm going to add a part. I'm going to call this folded blank. Doesn't need to be a graphical part. Width is going to be shelf height. And just so you know, I'm a little bit of a cheater. I ran through this yesterday when I built mine. These are my notes for some of it. Really, all this is pretty straightforward. The Z positioning of where all my parts end up, that's where I get super confused of getting the algebra for that to work nice. But length of it is going to be our open width minus, what is it? It's adjustable shelf length. Oh, sorry, that's going to be our open. Yeah, that's right. And then our width, that currently has a value of 0. I'm going to change that quick. Parameters, set that 1.5. Shelf quantity, I'm going to set that 10 for right now. I built mine with parts for 10 shelves, but you can build it however you want for the quantity. I wanted to edit this part. Parameter of the part. Oh, it didn't add a part because it didn't have a size, because this variable shelf height had a value of 0, so the part had a width of 0. Okay, let's try this again. Shelf blank, shelf height, which should return 1.5 inches. Our length is going to be open width minus adjustable shelf length. The adjustment for that, for me, parameters used. Opening width 22, adjustable shelf length, I do 1/4 inch, so 1/8 inch off each side. We want to make this a finished end probably. I'm not going to bother touching the texture. Our quantity. So our quantity, that's just going to be shelf quantity. Test should return back, shelf quantity, this is millimeters, divided by I for me, for everybody else it's going to be 2 millimeters. Use I, it's easier. So that returns a number of 10, which is what we want. Doesn't need to be a graphical part. I'm going to call this face 1. Oh, okay, so this is a weird one. With the grained parts, I don't know why it worked out this way, but if I select it to toe, my grain shows up in the direction I need it to show up. Go figure. Well, in this case, it's paint grade, and I use 3/4 plywood for my toes and paint grade, but we can change it to something else and make it happen. Well, actually, it doesn't really matter. Sorry. This is a part that we're not actually going to be using. So I have a material in my library called no cut, so it does not go to the CNC. Width is going to be shelf height. Our length, this is going to be a graphical part. Our length is going to be our open width minus adjustable shelf length. I'm going to throw some operations on here. I'm going to do a toolpath, open toolpath, delete. This goes right in the corner, 0, 0. What did I call this piece? Toe. I don't think part thickness works yet. I think this is going to return a 0. Yeah, it returns a 0 still, so we're going to stick with toe thickness. And that is going to be my 91-degree miter fold. Go to this end. Part length. This is going to be 0. I'm going to grab this, copy, paste, part 1, the part width. I copy that. This will be part length. 0.2 is going to be an X of 0 and a Y of part width. Can't see it, but I have copy and paste on my mouse. It makes life way easier. I'm going to copy these. And then I'm going to abandon building this insert in the library. When you go to a 3D view, go to perspective, you are in the construct from the matrix. You are just a part, and I have no idea where you are. If I can see it in a cabinet, it makes life a little bit easier. We go edit, interior, inserts, miscellaneous inserts, folded shelves 2 is what I called it. We're going to drag this guy in, go to wireframe, look at from the left. So that's my part right there for my shelf face. Ooh, another thing I want to do, let's go to interior, select the insert, hit edit. I'm going to go to my face, edit the part. I want this to be high detail. Oops. Let's save for funsies. Front to back, it's going to be frame thickness plus adjustable shelf depth. Let's just look at this from the left here. I always get super confused on which one is which here. Nope. We want 270 degrees. Z bottom to top, this is just get to 0. We'll go part width. Quantity. So if we want to make these so they appear and disappear, we can do that through adjusting the quantity. So if shelf quantity divided by I, or Tom, if that's what you've got, is greater than or equal to 1, then quantity is 1. Add formula, test, comes back true, which is good. So now we need to add a bottom. Let's just call this bottom 1. Same thing, we're going to make it a toe. Our width is going to be our opening depth minus our frame minus our adjustable shelf depth. Why is frame? We have to do frame.th. It's going to be a graphic part. We're going to make it high detail. Right now it's at 0. So front to back, we're going to make this frame.th plus adjustable shelf depth. Can't type today. That lines that up. Operations. Oh, that's not what we want. We do not want our width that. We do want our width that. Length. That's going to be open width minus adjustable shelf length. There we go. That looks better. I copied these operations, so I just pasted the operations from the face. We're in high detail. Winner. That lines up. I'm going to copy this part. I'm just going to rename this top one. We'll go top and then bottom. So then in X, I think we have to put that 180, negative. Set that to 0. Can't stand it when that thing's blue and it doesn't need to be. So if you hit it, if you type 0, then go to the formula bar and clear out the formula bar, it goes back. There we go. Z bottom to top. That's going to be base width, shelf height, SH. Okay. Left to right is going to be part length. So if we go filled, that gives us all of our graphical parts. So none of these parts, because they're all, well, except for this should be no cut. That means the other one's no cut. So any of these parts are going to be parts that are not cut because they are set up as no cut. I'm going to go to our shelf blank. Actually, first thing, let's get these completely positioned where they need to be. Right now, it's going to be zeroed out in the one corner of the cabinet. So if we go to the front wireframe, see we're at 0 there. We're 1/4 inch over here. That's our adjustable depth and length. Let's go to our face. So left to right. Easy way to do this, opening width divided by 2 minus part length divided by 2. Make sure that's all boxed out correctly. I'm going to need this formula again here in a second. Should return an 1/8, which it does. Same thing here, left to right. Oh, except for we did part length. I think this one's going to be plus part length. Yep, so that's our top that we just did. So now we have to do the bottom. Left to right, opening width divided by 2 minus part length divided by 2. Now everybody lines up. So let's go to our blank and we're gonna edit that, make that a graphical part. Let's see, our length is correct. Just for funsies, I'm gonna center that on everything. The width of our part though, well, we're gonna need shelf height, but it's going to be, I'm just gonna space that out so it's away from my life. Let's see, open depth minus adjustable shelf depth minus frame.th times 2, box this out again, plus shelf height. Test 22.5. Operations. I'm going to do a toolpath, open toolpath. Suppose the way that you probably want to do this will be, oh, so you're going to want something to set your miter, how much is left of your miter. I do these a little bit differently. So Mozaik, I nest my miter folds in Mozaik, but I actually finish doing the miter fold operations piece by piece on the router in separate software. So our depth, we're just going to go toe thickness. So like for me, I set it at like a 1/16 of an inch because I'm just marking out where my tape is going, and that's it. 0. This will be opening depth minus frame thickness minus adjustable shelf depth. Should copy that. Y is going to be the same. This is going to be part length. I'm going to grab a hold of this operation, copy, paste. So my Y is going to be, I'm going to box this out first, make sure it still returns 10.5. It does. So it's going to be part width minus. And then it doesn't really matter, but I like to start and stop them differently. I'm going to set this to 0 first. Try to not have points stopping and starting at the same spot. Same thing here. Part width minus 12. Our shelf height, so it was 10.5 here. Our shelf height is 1.5 inches, so 10.5 plus 1.5 inches, that gives us 12. If we look at the part in 3D, all I have is lines. Why do I only have lines? Oh, you gotta select a tool. There you go. Yeah, in 3D, there you go. So when you set your depth, if whatever variable you're using for your skin or your remainder left over, you're going to take your part thickness minus, if you're 15 thou. So that will give you your depth. I just set it at 0 because you can figure it out. Another thing I like to do, put in wireframe. Let's see, front to back. Part width times -1. That's how you trick Mozaik into giving you a negative number. This should, yep, so that's going to essentially alter my 0 to there. So then front to back plus open depth minus frame thickness minus adjustable shelf depth. Why is that not giving me what I want? I need 10.5. Still isn't right. Okay, go back to where we know where we are. X that out. Plus frame thickness, plus adjustable shelf depth. Okay, that gets me to right there. Oops, I want to adjust the width, front to back. Plus opening depth minus frame thickness. Just typed in the wrong thing, minus adjustable shelf depth. There we go. So that way I know, this is just for my own edification, because then I know that if I go from here to here, I've got an inch and a half. That way I know all my miters are starting and stopping where they need to be. Doesn't really matter because this isn't a graphic part, but sometimes if I'm changing something or if I change the shape of my blank, that way I can kind of make sure everything lines up the way that I think it should be lining up. Switch the part over to high detail, because you're going to fold this up to this point. This point is going to end up here, and then this point folds and ends up right there. We'll turn that off. I'm going to save changes, exit out and save everything entirely. So how do you get these so they spread out evenly? Another thing I would do, let's go back to the one that I made already. So I made all my faces all at once. Face 1, face 2, face 3, face 4, 5, 6, however many faces you want to have on there. I just copy paste and then adjusted their, you go through, I would rename it face 2. You gotta change the, you gotta edit your formula. So shelf quantity greater than, so if this were shelf 2, I'd change this to a 2, update formula. And then the other thing I would do is my positioning bottom to top. That's where this formula is what gives you your spacing top to bottom. Let's go back to our new one. Ooh, another good idea. We're working on this inside a cabinet right now. Edit, go to export, save this to somewhere handy. So save it to your desktop. Because we're working on it in a cabinet. We're not working on it in the library. You can kind of screw yourself if you delete something and a couple hours worth of work goes up in smoke. Interior, I'm going to edit that. Let's go to face 1. So, well, let me do this. Here we go. Our opening height is 87 inches. And this is where I always struggle, and I'm just going to blast through it real quick like, because I will look dumb if I try to do this while you're listening. So that just has part width. So our face, this is our formula for the spacing. So basically you're taking your opening height, which is your 87 inches, you're subtracting the number of shelves that you have, this is your shelf quantity, multiplied by your shelf height. Then you're going to divide, think of this as one thing. So this returns how much space is left in between your shelves. And that's also why I put that divider partition, can't remember what it's called, up here just underneath the face frame. That way it divides across the opening top to bottom. Just figuring off of that. So then you're going to go, if you have 5 shelves, if you hold your hand out in front of you, you've got 5 shelves, and you count underneath your pinky, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 6 openings. So you have to divide that by the number of openings that you have. So if you take your shelf quantity and add 1 to it, that'll give you your elevation. And the shelf height, we already had that in there for when we just started. The top of the part is actually 0. So we need that shelf height to get that in there. So if we get this back to being an actual formula, hopefully that's good. We'll find out here in a second. Let's go to our top, edit the selected part, Z bottom top. It's basically going to be a repeat of the formula that we just used. That should get us, because that will have the same 0 as that one. Now when we go to our bottom piece, that's going to be slightly different. Z bottom and top. Not Y position, Z bottom and top. There we go. So if we take that out, this is the formula that we were running before, but now we're going to subtract the shelf height, because that was getting us to there, so now we need to subtract the shelf height. So now, if we go face 1, if we copy this part, we're going to edit it, we're going to rename it face 2. Our quantity, we need to, oh, why does it do this? We need to delete that. If shelf quantity divided by I greater than or equal to 2, then the quantity is going to be 1, add formula, test, equals true. And our Z bottom and top, so I have a multiplier right here. That number is going to change with each part that you're putting in there. So our face jumped up that amount. I'm going to go bottom 1. And this is why I deleted all my parts and started over. That's why I just did 10 faces, 10 tops, 10 bottoms. Because it gets hard to find your parts. So this one is actually going to be, we're going to rename this top 2 for quantity. Oh, we never put a formula in here. SQ divided by I is greater than or equal to 2, then quantity is 1, add formula, test, and then our positioning, multiplied by 2, that gets to where it needs to be. Copy this part, rename it, bottom 2, quantity, this one isn't going to have it either because I boned up early on. Oops. Then adjust the 3D position. And my multiplier. That gets it there. Let's export this just for funsies so we have it. Replace it. Okay. I'm just going to do 2 shelves. I'm not going to bore you to death with doing 10 shelves. But if you go back here. Okay. So if you go back to this, I would save this with this parameter in it. If you delete this out, delete parameter, oh, let's put that back for a second because that just exposed a problem. So, oh, that's our 2 pieces on the bottom that didn't have a quantity attached to them. So SQ, let's fix those parts quick. Set that back to 1. Parts, it'll be bottom number 1. Oops, not that guy, quantity. Okay, so that's where I screwed up on the other ones. So if you put a quantity of 1 in there at the very top, so you don't have just being driven off of a formula. Dang it, where'd it go? Quantity. Put a quantity of 1 there. That should work. We're going to test it quick here. It should go away. Save changes. Edit. We're going to go back to our parameters. We're going to delete this parameter. So if we don't have all the other shelves, but this will just give you the spacing. So if you just have 2 shelves in there, draw a line, you got 28 inches. I already know that's right. I struggled through this yesterday. We got 28 inches between everybody. Send it to 1. Parts should move the way they're supposed to. If we set it to 0, everything should disappear. Oops. I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to put that parameter back. Shelf quantity. I'm going to hit export. Save it again. Overwrite my old one. Hit OK. Save changes. Hit OK. Go back to my library. Insert library. Find my where is it? Folding shelves 2. I'm going to delete that. Goes away. I'm going to click import. Folded shelves 2. Import it. Now I've got everybody there that should be. Why is it still showing that one bottom part? Oh, no, it still shouldn't be doing that. But on that part, that was a bottom. Oh, so maybe 1 isn't the answer there. Clicking on the top, that's why. Our parameters set that at 0. Oh, I've got it set so the minimum is 1, so that's going to show up no matter what. But set this to 10. Okay. I'm going to copy this cabinet just for fun. Edit. Interior. Clear this out. Inserts. Folded shelves 2. Drop that into place. It works. So somebody mentioned on the forum about making them line up with the shelf holes. Yeah, you can do it, but man, that's going to be a lot of math on your end, and I don't think you've got anything really good to garner from doing that. Textures. Oh yeah, or we were going to talk about textures. Let's go back to this one. This cabinet, I've got the shelves as, doesn't matter what I have them as. They're wood. So if you go to the insert, hit edit, go to parts. So say you want, these are all your blanks. So this quantity changes with the number of shelves that you have. So edit the selected part. If you want these to be out of riffs on white oak, why won't it give me a riff? MDF core. Riffs on white oak. There it is. I'm blind. I panicked. My camera. Then all of those parts. Those are blanks. There's our fold blank. It's all going to be 3/4 inch riffs on white oak. And just in case somebody else wants to do it the weird way that I do, where you bust them out separately, there's our graphic part. You can see there where I just make a notch with the V tool. It's just to show where the tape needs to go when the parts are ran individually. And if we go to wireframe, same thing here. You can see where that notch lines up with the front edge. This is bled by 1/4 inch. So I leave this so we cut this out again when we actually cut the shelf to size. kind of an added extra step, but ensures that if this doesn't land on the router 100% square with the world, which it's only going to be pulling off of 2 pins at that point, then it's still close enough. The other thing when we do these, I come through with a compression tool and I hog out most of where that B is going to go, and I do it in 2 passes. So our first pass takes it down to like 1/8 of an inch, and then our next pass runs down to whatever our miter remaining material is. In my case, it's usually between 10 and 15 thou, depending on what material it is. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. That was the best description I could give for it, and it's 35 minutes already. Bummer. Thanks for watching.